I don't know. But I'm a man, I'm not doing both, so. I guess I'm.
Everybody, please be seated. Folks, I trust you had a good lunch. Was there anyone on the panel who was exposed to or participated in any discussions about the case or investigated or unintentionally or purposely sought information? I see no hands. Thanks very much. We'll continue then with the state's case in chief. Attorney Brown.
State will call Kelly Bennett to the stand.
Hi, Kelly. Come with me. You're going to go with that gentleman right there.
Please raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you.
Good morning. If you're able to comfortably, safely, and with good responsibility testify without a mask, we would appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you. Go right ahead.
Good afternoon. Could you please tell us your name and spell it out?
Kelly Bennett, Kellybennett.
Kelly, whereabouts do you live?
I live at 111 Oak Springs Circle, kitty corner from the Haldersons.
Sure. Yeah, describe if you could, kind of in as much detail as you could, as where your house is in relation to the Haldersons' house.
My house is across the street and one down, so it's kitty corner across the street, but my house is positioned on the lot unusually, and the front of my house is facing the side instead of the street.
Sure. Do you have any security cameras at your house?
Yes, several.
Tell me about, just in general, do you have one system or multiple systems?
We have two systems. We have a Ring doorbell system, and we have our son works for the Department of Corrections, and he installs all the cameras for the prisons. And we have a system that was installed by him.
You have a pretty well-designed camera system then?
Very well.
Okay. Were you asked to provide the Dane County Sheriff's Department some camera footage from your house from the early part of July, between maybe July 1st, all the way through maybe the 8th or so, at some point this summer?
Yes, on July 7th, I heard that they were missing, and I had my husband approach the police officers and volunteer the cameras.
Sure. And did you and your husband cooperate fully in turning over your camera footage to the Sheriff's Department?
Yes, we allowed them to actually log into our system, and they could retrieve any and all footage they needed.
And to your knowledge, time and date and things like that were all normal and normally operated on those camera systems?
Yes, on those dates.
I'm going to show you what's been marked in this case as exhibit number 49. And you can feel around. Is that a USB drive in there? Feels like?
Yes.
Okay. And exhibit number 542. What does the photograph on exhibit number 542 show?
My driveway?
Sure. That is your driveway?
Yes.
Okay. I would move, and exhibit 49, in the past, you've been told that the Dane County Sheriff's Office were able to download your video footage and put it on USB drives, essentially, for trial, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'll move exhibits number 49 and 542 into evidence.
Any objection?
No.
Those are received.
Ms. Bennett, fair to say you know nothing at all about this investigation other than what you just said, right?
Correct. I've never even looked at the footage on the cameras from the system designed by my son.
And did you know the Haldersons very well?
I met her once when I was walking my dog and just said hello.
So you just provided video footage?
Correct.
Thank you. No further questions.
Cross-examination?
No, thank you.
May this witness be excused and released from her subpoena.
She may. Thank you.
Thanks so much for your time. Have a good rest of your day.
State will now call Joelle Lockwood.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Good afternoon. If you believe you can do so safely and responsibly, testifying without wearing a mask would be the preference if you could.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Could you please state your name for the record and spell both your first and last name?
Joelle Lockwood, Joelle Lockwood.
And Ms. Lockwood, what location do you work out of?
111 Oak Springs Circle, DeForest, Wisconsin.
And the person who just testified, Miss Bennett, is that your sister?
Yes.
And you work out of her home, essentially?
Yes.
On July 8th of 2021, did you answer the doorbell and correspond with a young man about camera systems?
Yes.
And that was captured by some Ring doorbell footage?
Yes.
And I assume you didn't know this young man?
No.
At the time that you were. Exhibit 50? Just to show you. It's a thumb drive or USB.
Okay.
Of the Ring doorbell footage. I would move exhibit 50 into evidence at this time.
Any objection?
None.
It is received.
Do you remember about what time of day this was?
About 3 o'clock?
Do you wish to publish at this time?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
You should be able to see what will be shown on the
okay.
screen in front of you.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Chandler Halderson. I live just down the road.
Oh, yes.
You're the one with all of the police.
Yeah.
I was told you had the fancy security system. I was wondering if you were able to capture the road or my house.
The police actually came and downloaded everything they have. But it's actually my sister's house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they were here, I think till like 9 o'clock last night and downloaded all the video she's got. So we're hoping that...
Yeah, did it capture anything on...
We don't know. We don't know. They just took a copy of everything and so we're hoping...
Widening the lens?
Yeah, and it's all...
Be able to get a
Yeah, and it's all HD, and then I think there's one...
Especially in the dark. It looks like it has a little bit of night vision.
Yeah, and there's one on the corner of the garage, too. I don't know if that one quite goes that direction, but...
Maybe see this road and take it from over here.
Yeah, so hopefully, I mean, we gave them everything that we had, so we're hoping they find something on there. I don't know if there's anything we can do.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
No further questions.
Cross-examination?
None, thank you.
May this witness be excused and released.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time. Have a good rest of your day.
I think so.
Stay called Kathy Schuster. You're gonna follow that gentleman.
Okay. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
If you believe you can do so safely and responsibly, testifying without your mask would be the preference.
Sure.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Could you please state and spell out your name for us?
It's Kathryn Schuster, Kathryn. Last name Schuster, Schuster.
And ma'am, if I may ask, where do you live?
4599 Oak Spring Circle in DeForest.
Sure. How long have you lived there?
A little over 4 years, I think, approximately.
Sure. Just going to ask you some questions first about your neighborhood, okay?
Oh, sure.
What kind of neighborhood is it? Is it residential? Is it out in the country? Tell me about that.
It's a residential neighborhood on a little pond.
Sure. Do you live on the pond?
Yes.
What kind of things do people do on the pond?
Right now, they're ice fishing or paddle boating or canoeing or probably about it.
Were there fish in the pond?
Oh, yeah, definitely fishing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know a couple by the name of Bart and Krista Halderson?
Yes.
How did you know them?
They were my next door neighbors to the west of me.
Okay.
And they moved in, I think, approximately 6 months prior to my family moving in.
And when you say you knew them, how well did you know them?
Well, I knew Bart better than Krista. Krista was a little more reserved. Bart, definitely talked a little bit more. I always saw him outside throwing the frisbee for his dogs and fishing. And my husband and Bart would text sometimes or talk, and so I knew him as well, neighborly.
Sure. I think you alluded to some of it. Bart would be out fishing or be in the yard with the dogs. What type, is that the extent of it, or are there other things you'd see the Haldersons outside doing?
Sometimes they would have a bonfire.
Okay.
They did a lot of lawn work. They really made their yard very beautiful. They did a lot of different things to it, so they always were doing a lot of yard work.
Sure. And your neighborhood, do people take care of their lawns?
Yes.
Okay.
Very. Everybody is very particular about their lawns.
Does it at times feel like maybe there's a little bit of a competition between people on who does it the best?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. If you're behind, you better get your yard mowed or your leaves picked up.
Okay. Where do you rank in this lawn contest?
My husband's pretty. I don't rank too high, personally, but my husband definitely is. For example, him and Bart kind of had a thing where Bart would mow and then my husband would be like, oh, Bart mowed, I better mow, or vice versa. That would happen.
Sounds good. Did you know the Halderson boys at all, their children, Chandler and Mitchell?
No. I had seen them. I had not seen Mitch as much as I had seen Chandler, but I had only interacted with, or I have only interacted with Chandler twice since they lived there.
Okay. In early July of last year, so after the 4th of July weekend, maybe going into the 7th, 8th, that time period, at some point, did Chandler come over to your house?
He did.
Now, do you have any security cameras at your house?
We do.
And were those full functioning and operational the day that Chandler came over?
Yes, they were.
Okay. At times, do you turn the security cameras off?
Yes, I did.
Why do you turn the security cameras off?
Sometimes I turn the well, I didn't turn the camera off, but I turned the notifications off so that if there was a large influx of packages coming, then my husband wouldn't get like all the notifications.
Sure.
He was at work. Yeah.
I think that scheme's being pulled on me right now. But, so you had a camera system. Sometimes you turn the notifications off and the footage would maybe go away eventually. But Chandler came over one of these days.
Right.
And did you talk to him outside or did you invite him inside?
I invited him in.
Inside. So if your security camera picked up anything that day, it would have just been that brief ring of the doorbell, pleasantries, and then inviting him inside?
Yes.
Okay. And did you provide that footage to Dane County Sheriff's deputies? Did your family when asked in this case?
I did.
Okay. I'm showing you what's been marked in this case is exhibit number 52. Just a feel around. That feels like a USB drive, doesn't it?
Yes.
And that'd be consistent with someone's video footage kind of being transferred over for court, right?
Sure, I would imagine so.
I'll move 52 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
It is received.
For the court record, I'll move 53, not to be published.
Any objection to 53?
No.
It is received.
And I'll move to publish 52.
You may publish. What's going to be seen, you'll be able to see on the screen in front of you, rather than needing to strain your neck.
Oh, sure.
Or I
Okay,
should say
thank
the
you.
monitor, the
I get it.
computer.
Thank you.
It's kind of difficult to track him down, so I was hoping anyone would have like security cameras and stuff like that.
We do for you guys, okay?
Thank you.
Take care of things.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, so that showed essentially Mr. Halderson showing up and then him leaving when your camera again gets activated by his movement?
Correct.
All right. And you have any reason to doubt that the time on the bottom there and the date of July 8th, around 8:30 to 8:36, that sound about right to you?
Yes. I thought he came over at 8:08 and left 18 minutes later.
Sure. About a 18 to 20 minute conversation.
Yes.
Nothing that was inside was recorded, of course.
No.
Okay. Let me ask you some questions about
Sure.
that, though. When Mr. Halderson first came in, what did he tell you?
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
Yeah, what did he tell you was going on when he first came in your home?
Well, he didn't, he just came in, he took his shoes off and you know, I said to him, I'm not very tech savvy. It's going to take me a minute, you know, to pull up the cameras and see what we have. And he came in, he sat down on the floor against one of our like oversized chairs. And then, you know, my dog went up to him and I sat next to my dog and I proceeded to look at the footage. I don't recall him saying anything at that time.
Sure. Did he talk about anything in your house for that 18
Yes.
minutes? Tell me about that. What do
Well,
you
I
remember?
asked him some questions. So I believe while I was looking up some of the footage, you know, I had made a reference to Minecraft, because it was on the TV, which is probably irrelevant, and then, you know, that was just a brief conversation. And then I found the footage and I said, you know, unfortunately, the camera was off from 6:02 to, I believe it was, 6:30 to 7:02, which was June 30th to July 2nd. And then again, it was on the 3rd, off again the 4th to the 7th. And then, so he's like, okay, well, most cameras don't go to the road. Just thought I'd check. And then I said to him, you know, so why didn't your parents take their car? And he said, well, a couple picked them up Friday morning, which would have been July 2nd, prior to me getting up at 6:15, they were gone. And I said, oh, okay, and you don't know who they went with? And he said, no, I've called all their friends. I don't know. They didn't go with anybody, and maybe it was one of my dad's clients. You want me to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay. And then he said, well, they took my parents' computer today, but they're not gonna, they didn't take my dad's computer. He has a high security job, and they weren't able to take that. And I said, oh, I'm sure, they'll get a subpoena to get that computer. And he's like, wow, they'll never get into that computer. It's just too high tech. And I said, well, I think they will, basically the police will get into it. And then I just asked him about debit cards. I just said, are they looking at their debit card records, to see where they've been or whatnot? And he said, no, they don't use debit cards when they go up north. They always take cash because they don't have any sliders. And I said, okay. And then
Sliders and meaning like a credit card.
He referred
machine.
to it as sliders, but yeah, I took that to mean debit card machines or credit card machines.
Sure. Did you ask him about his parents' phones and tracking them?
I did. Next I said, well, what about their phone records? Are they looking at their phone records? And he said, no, they can't get their phone records unless they have a dead body. And I said, well, they'll definitely subpoena those. I'm sure it'll take some time. And I don't know if that's the right verbiage, subpoena, whatever, but it'll take some time, but they'll absolutely be able to get phone records. And, and then he said, well, I think the person down the street has some high security cameras. And I said, oh, do you mean Kelly? And he said, who? And I just said, the person that lives in the blue house down the street. He said, I think I'll have to visit her. And then I think that was the majority of the conversation. Besides that, I said, he got up. I said, you're going to be so happy when they pull in your driveway. You're just going to be so happy and it'll be okay. And he said, no, I'm going to give him earful. I'm angry. We're all really angry. And I said, well, no, you know what I mean? Like when your child goes missing and you're mad they ran away, but you're really just really happy you found them. And he said, no, the whole family's just very angry and we're all going to give him an earful. And I said, okay, well, I asked if I could help with his dogs too. And during this conversation, sometime he said no. And I said, okay, well, anything we can do, either we're praying for you or we're thinking about you. One of those things I would say. I recall saying, but I don't know which one. And that was it. Sure. Then I watched him walk in the direction of the neighbor across the street.
You said when he came in your house, where did he sit again?
On the floor against, we have a big oversized chair. And I had pulled the ottoman out. It's an oversized ottoman. And I had pulled that out so he could sit on the chair. But he may have felt more comfortable on the floor. And he sat on the floor with his back against the ottoman. Or not the ottoman, the chair.
Did he seem to you to have any physical trouble getting up and down?
Not that I noticed.
What was his demeanor like or his effect when he was telling you these things about maybe his parents being gone?
It's hard to describe. I would guess kind of a quiet nature. I would say like would appear to be down maybe. Yeah.
Police contacted you at some point, I would imagine?
They did.
And you've been cooperative all the way through with the police, helping them out with video and talking to them about your conversations?
Yes.
All right, thank you. No further questions.
Okay, thank you.
Cross-examination?
No, thank you.
May this witness be excused and released.
She may be.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
assistance and
Thank
have
you.
a good rest of your day.
You as well.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Deputy Wilke is who the state's going to call.
Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth? I do.
Good afternoon, Deputy. If you are able to safely and responsibly testify without your mask, I would appreciate it. Thank you. Counsel.
Good afternoon. Could you please state your name, both first and last for the record, and spell both first and last?
Michael Wilk. It's Michaelwilk.
And how are you employed?
I'm employed with the Dane County Sheriff's Office as a deputy sheriff.
And what are your job responsibilities?
I work a task force position. Within that position, I may be assigned to multiple divisions throughout the sheriff's office, including the bailiff's office, field patrol responsibilities, security in the jail, conveyances, and from time to time, I also am pulled for special assignments, which I was in this case.
And what was your assignment in this case?
My assignment in this case was to assist with video review, as there was a great deal of video that was brought in.
And specifically, were you asked to look at the video from a witness named Kelly Bennett's house, which was 111 Oak Springs Circle in DeForest, Wisconsin?
I was.
And how many hours of that video do you think you watched?
It was approximately it was 7 days worth of video, 24 hours in a day. So you can do the math. It was a great deal of video.
So you were the lucky person assigned to watch every minute of that video?
Yes, I was.
And what were you looking for when you watched it?
I was looking for all general activity that could be observed from the address on Oak Springs. I believe it's 4595, if I'm not mistaken.
So the 111 Oak Springs video shows at least a portion of the 4595 house and driveway.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. During the course of this investigation, is it your understanding that this video was then edited just to show the moments in time where a vehicle or person arrived and departed from the location?
Yes, that is correct.
And you've had a chance to preview this video?
Yes, I have.
And were all the vehicles and persons that you saw arriving and departing from the Halderson home captured on this compilation video?
Yes, they were, with the exception of law enforcement vehicles on the 7th, because as there were numerous of them, those were not included in the video.
Sure. Those didn't have any investigative leads since you knew
they did not.
who they were. And during the course of this investigation, were you able to identify what vehicles were assigned or associated to the Halderson home?
Yes, I was.
And I know you review lots of videos with lots of different vehicles. I assume you don't have license plates and makes and models memorized.
No, I do not.
Instead, you detail them in a report that you could review later.
Correct.
Okay. If I were to show you a report that you wrote in association with this case, would that help refresh your recollection as to the make and model of the vehicles associated with the Halderson home?
Yes, it would.
It's 1688 of discovery. And basically, there were 3 vehicles associated with the Halderson home.
Correct.
What was the make and license plate of the first vehicle?
The first vehicle was a Subaru Outback premium sport utility truck. License plate number was 34269 Union.
And who was that registered to?
That was registered to Bart Halderson.
What was the second vehicle associated with the Halderson home?
Second vehicle was a Volvo V70 station wagon, license plate number 34270 Union.
And who was that car registered to?
That vehicle was registered to Krista Halderson.
And was there a third vehicle associated with the Halderson home?
Yes, there was.
And what was that vehicle?
That vehicle was a Subaru Forester 2.5X premium sports utility with a license plate number of 718 Victor Edward Robert.
And who was that vehicle registered to?
That vehicle was registered to Dulce Melander. I may not pronounce her name correctly.
And in the course of this investigation, did you learn that was the defendant's girlfriend's mom?
Yes, I did.
So that was the car the girlfriend presumably drove?
Correct.
State would now move to publish Exhibit 49 to the jury, the compilation video. Can we pause it just for a second? So Deputy, there's two boxes here.
Yes.
Is it fair to say that part of the video is enhanced to really look at the driveway that we want to look at?
Yes, the portion of the video in the upper right-hand corner is the true view of the camera as you would see it if you were to watch it without enlarging any portion of it. The bottom portion is an enlarged portion of the area that captures the front driveway and front entryway of 4595 Oak Springs Circle.
All right, thank you. So fair to say on July 1st at 7:30, a Volvo departs.
Yes, that is correct.
And now we're looking at July 1st at 5:13 p.m. A Volvo enters the driveway. And then at 8:16 p.m., a Volvo departs the driveway. Is that right?
Yes.
And then about 15 minutes later at 8:29, the Volvo arrives.
Correct.
Again. And then July 2nd at 7:02, the Halderson Subaru departs.
Yes.
And that same vehicle appears to arrive at 7:31 a.m.
Correct.
And then the labels do continue the rest of the video. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay. And that was the full compilation video, Deputy?
Yes, that is correct.
So on July 2nd, we don't see any vehicles arriving or departing between midnight until after 7 a.m. Is that fair?
Yes, it is.
And I just wanted to point out one thing. On July 7th, according to that video, there was a white vehicle that pulled in. Then the Subaru pulled in. It looked like there was a little bit of interaction. And then the white vehicle pulled out.
Correct.
Were you made aware later that that was about an air conditioning quote?
Yes, something of that nature, or the general contractor that was doing work at the house.
No further questions.
Cross-examination?
No, thank you.
May this witness be excused and released.
He can be excused but not released.
Excused from today, but not yet released from your subpoena, so don't discuss your testimony with anyone else. Thank you much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
state of Wisconsin calls Bart Halderson to the stand.
Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing
Good afternoon. If you believe you can safely and responsibly testify without wearing a mask, it would be our preference if you could. Thank you so much, sir. Go right ahead.
Good afternoon. Could you please state your name for the record and spell both your first and last name?
My name is Bart Halderson, B-R-E-T-T, last name Halderson, H-A-L-D-E-R-S-O-N.
I'm going to ask you to grab the base of the microphone. You can sit comfortably. That you can pull up closer. The fans are on right now, so it's becoming a little bit harder to hear folks. Thank you.
All right. Brett, your last name is Halderson. Were you related to Bart and Krista Halderson?
Yes, Bart is my brother.
Were you the older brother, the younger brother?
I'm an older brother by about 4 years.
Okay. So you knew Bart his entire life?
Yes.
And you knew Krista, Chandler, and Mitchell as well?
Yes.
What was your relationship like with Bart, Krista, and the kids?
General good relationship with them. We would have family get-togethers at holidays. We would talk over the phone occasionally, maybe send an occasional text message back and forth.
And how would you describe Bart and Krista as parents towards Mitchell and Chandler?
They were good parents, very nurturing. Krista was very involved with her children. I know it was mentioned like helicopter mom, but she was very attuned to everything that they were into. They were supportive in that anything they were involved in was school, with swimming. They were lifeguards. They promoted those things. They got them through Boy Scouts. Boy Scouts was very big in our family, and that followed through with them in raising their boys.
Okay. How did you learn about your brother and his wife being missing?
I believe the information went to my aunt and uncle, was referred over to my parents, and my parents gave me a call.
And Brett, just to put this in some context, what did you do as a career?
I worked as a police officer or deputy chief for the Menasha Police Department.
What did you do upon hearing that Bart and Krista were missing?
Initially, my first impression is statistically, they probably were out of phone range. Everything would be fine, and we would probably locate them or have communication with them within the next couple hours. So at that time, I believe I made a phone call to them just to see if I could get a hold of them, try to get things straightened out as soon as I could.
What is the next thing you decided to do after that in regards to them being missing?
After that, I believe just to get more information, I made phone contact with Chandler just to see where they were expected to be, what was going on with their life, where they were going, and I guess to find out the different avenues where we'd be able to make contact with them.
And what did you learn from Chandler?
He had mentioned that they were going up north. I think the big piece of information that was valuable was that they had left with an unknown person or couple. I think the male was believed to be a Dan, and left in that person's vehicle. And with that information, I prompted him to, try to find out who this Dan might be. I did even mention about finding if the neighbors across the street had a ring camera that may have got in that vehicle and a license plate that would be able to help us identify the person.
Did Chandler seem to take your advice, and was he able to answer your questions?
Yes. Yes. Matter of fact, he had gone across the street, and then shortly after speaking with Mr. Kevin Linsmeyer, I received a phone call from Kevin Linsmeyer saying that he was over there, and just wanted to make sure that I was aware of everything that was going on.
Okay. What did you do next as Bart and Krista continued to be missing?
I know I had the opportunity to speak with sheriff's deputies and then later the investigators, and I guess afforded them any information I could, as well as gathering pictures for, lost people, a poster, getting anything that we could to help find them.
Are you, during this time period, are you in pretty frequent contact with Chandler?
I believe multiple times a day, yes.
Okay. Are you learning any more pieces to the story throughout your contact with Chandler?
As we spoke, and I guess was prodding for more and more information, he did reveal that there was health problems. I was aware of my brother having psoriasis and some arthritis related to that, but he did bring up the information that Krista had some type of cancer that he was recently made aware of, as well as, I believe, the small stroke. And with that, it opened up the possibility that they may have gone somewhere to receive treatment for that and maybe just hadn't been giving that information to the family because they wanted to keep that personal.
Okay. During the course of all these different discussions you're having with Chandler, at any point does he float the idea to you that perhaps they're out drinking somewhere?
I don't believe that ever came up, no.
Does he ever explain to you that they took a bunch of tools and a large amount of cash to the cabin?
I believe he mentioned the tools and the cash as far as going up to the cabin to do some repairs, yes.
Did he mention the possibility of a casino trip to you?
He did not mention anything about a casino, and I'm not familiar with my brother or Krista ever visiting casinos for entertainment.
With your brother being a CPA, did it seem likely to you whether or not he'd have a large amount of cash on hand in a safe in his home?
Knowing my brother, I've never known him to have a large amount of cash on his person or in his home. He would have kept that, I would believe, more secure.
And he believed in investments, is that fair to say?
Yes.
I want to turn your attention now to some of the other things that you knew or may not have known about Chandler. What did you think Chandler was doing as far as schooling?
I believed he was a student at the Madison Area Technical College, or the Madison College. I believe it's changed how it's referred to.
And did you ever talk to him about like what sort of classes he was taking or anything like that?
I know Bart had mentioned in the past that he was involved in solar energy. At a holiday when we had gotten together, Chandler had mentioned that he was doing something with IT security, and he was in a class where their first assignment was to write a kind of a Trojan program that could be placed on a server somewhere, sent via email, that would, once placed, either by request or automatically, would send information from that server back to them. And that was done as a learning skill for an IT person.
Okay. What did you think Chandler was doing as far as work?
I believed he was doing an internship at American Family.
Did you know of any more details as to what he was doing there or anything?
In talking with Bart, I believe it was something dealing with IT services, nothing more beyond that.
What, if anything, did you know about Chandler's potential concussion?
I was not aware of any concussion. Up until when I was speaking with him after Bart and Krista were found missing, he did bring that up as a point where he wasn't able to drive long distances or shouldn't be going out far, in his vehicle driving. But before their disappearance, I was not aware of any concussion.
Have you ever went scuba diving with your nephew, Chandler?
Yes.
How many times?
I'm a scuba instructor. I was able to talk my brother into having him and his two sons trained or certified in scuba diving. I think it was in September of 2019. They had come up to my house. I live in the outside of Appleton in the Hilbert area. They had done the online training. We did a pool session, and then we did an open water session. Actually, enough dives to get them certified as scuba divers.
So in 2 locations, in a lake or some body of water and in the pool.
Yes.
So 2 times.
Well, yeah, at the pool and open body of water. Yep, and all within the same weekend.
Okay. Did you and Chandler ever have discussions about police diving?
I believe at some holiday family get-together after he was certified, he had broached the topic of what it takes to become a public safety diver. At that time, we discussed back and forth that it usually happens if you're part of a law enforcement agency or potentially on a fire department that has a dive team. And those were usually the 2 main ways of getting on a dive team. And then occasionally you'll find a civilian formed public safety dive team.
And how would you know that information?
I'm currently on the Calumet County dive team. I was on the Winnebago County dive team when I was working for the Menasha Police Department. I'm also a public safety diver instructor, so I work with numerous dive teams.
And to your knowledge, was Chandler ever on a rescue dive team associated with any law enforcement?
No, he was not.
What about the DNR? Was he on anything to your knowledge concerning
Not to my
them?
knowledge, no.
Mr. Halderson, when was the last time you talked to your brother, Bart?
It would have been the morning of July 1st.
Is there any reason you remember that date?
Because that's my birthday. Our family makes it a ritual of contacting each other on our birthdays. And that was the phone call that he had made to me that morning.
Is that the last time you spoke to your brother?
Yes.
No further questions.
Any cross-examination?
Good afternoon, Mr. Halderson. Do you need a glass of water or anything? We can take a break if you need something.
I should be good for now.
And I just have a couple questions for you. Thank you. To confirm, you said that you live outside, just outside of Appleton?
I live in Hilbert, Wisconsin, yep.
Okay, but not in Dane County, Wisconsin.
No.
How often would you say you did come over to Dane County to visit Bart and Krista?
Yeah, it was not very frequently that we were down there. They were very COVID conscious, so when COVID was around, they had not been up by us. They had not hosted any events. I visited them last September of 2020, where Bart and I had gone out scuba diving at Devil's Lake. And before that was probably sometime in earlier 2019.
How about just regular phone conversations with Bart or Krista? How often would you say you did that?
Very rarely would I have a phone conversation with Krista. With Bart, I believe it was every couple of months, every 3 months, maybe we'd have a conversation while I was out walking the dogs, and I would either just have a desire to speak with him, or I had a tax question, and it would be an opportunity to speak with him.
And as far as the information that you provided to Chandler about what he should do, is it fair to say that you were providing that information because of your prior experience in law enforcement, or something that you would have provided regardless?
I guess I provide anything to help find my brother and his wife.
But I guess, and I apologize, what I was getting at is telling Chandler to go seek out rig footage or to talk to neighbors. Is that something that perhaps was a little easier for you to suggest because of your experience in law enforcement?
maybe I was more aware of it because of my experience in law enforcement, but just knowing camera systems and knowing that sometimes they're not kept more than 24 hours, 48 hours or longer, and I wasn't aware of what Dane County was doing at the time, I thought it just would be prudent to try to preserve any information that would potentially have a license plate of a vehicle that stopped there that day.
Sure, and that's exactly why you provided that information
Yes.
for Chandler. As far as Krista's family, are you aware she's close to her family?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled. You can answer if you know.
I know she has brothers and sisters throughout the United States. I know she was very, very close with her mother while her mother was alive.
I have no further questions. Thank you so much.
Any redirect?
No, no further questions.
May Mr. Halderson be released and excused?
He may.
Thank you, sir, for your time today. We could take up one more witness if it's of the same length of time.
Sure. It's going to call Jay Gilbertson to the stand.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Sir, if you are willing and believe you can safely and responsibly testify without a mask, that would be our preference at this time. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Could you please state and spell your name, both first and last, for the record?
Jay Gilbertson, first name Jay, second name Gilbertson.
Where do you live, Mr. Gilbertson?
Could you, I have a little trouble hearing, can you?
Oh, sure. Yep, yell at me if I'm not loud enough. Where do you where did you reside in July of 2021?
In DeForest, right next door to the Haldersons.
Okay.
To the west.
And did you know Bart and Krista Halderson?
Yes.
Just as neighbors or anything more?
Pretty much just neighbors, you know, cordial, how you doing in the backyard type stuff. Never at their house, inside their house, never did anything with them, just that kind of cordial relationship.
Sure. Before the events of Bart and Krista going missing, did you know Chandler Halderson?
I may have seen him, but I'm not sure I knew the two brothers apart, you know, which one was Mitchell and which one was Chandler. I know I've waved to the boys at least one or two times.
Okay. And on July 8th, do you happen to you end up having a conversation with Chandler Halderson? Is that true?
That is true.
What was the nature of that conversation?
He stopped over about 8:30, I think, in the morning. He said, "Hi, I'm Chandler." I'm paraphrasing. I said, "Hi." I said, "It's really weird about your parents." He goes, "Yeah." And I said, "It's, you know," I asked him something about the people that he went with, or the people that they went with, and were they missing too? He said not necessarily, or he didn't know. He talked about sending a friend or a relative to his parents' cottage to look for him. And he also asked if we had a security camera or surveillance equipment, and I said no, we didn't.
Okay, did you have any discussion at all about a neck brace?
I did ask him, I said, "Are you the one that fell down and had a neck brace, or was that your brother?" And he said, "No, it was me." And I said, "Oh, don't have to wear it, I guess," or something like that.
And was he wearing it on the 8th?
No.
And you said you had a discussion with him about the other couple. Did you mean the couple that supposedly had picked up
Right,
Bart and Krista?
Right. I said, well, have you heard from them? Are they missing too? And he said no, or not that he knows of, or something along those lines. And he said, said, well, if they're missing, how are your parents going to get back from the cabin, or something along those lines? And he said he didn't think they were with them or they were coming back, or it was kind of vague.
Do you remember telling detectives in connection with this investigation that Chandler had told you that the other couple might have just continued on with their trip?
Yes.
Did that make any sense to you?
No. I'd never seen Bart or Krista get in the car with anybody else.
And what was Chandler Halderson's demeanor like during this conversation with you?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was Mr. Halderson, Chandler's demeanor like during this conversation with you?
It was a little, maybe not nervous, because I can't really tell. I'd only never spoke with him, but maybe a little nervous or detached, or not all the way tuned in. As soon as I said some other people might have surveillance cameras in the neighborhood, he said, well, he was going to go talk with them. And then he just left, turned around, and I said, I think we said something like, good luck.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Any cross-examination?
Just to be clear, Mr. Gilbertson, you've never spoken with Chandler Halderson before that day, correct?
I do not think so. Again, I don't know. I didn't really know the names of the two brothers. I might have said hi, but it was never a long conversation.
And when you say you never saw Krista or Bart get into a car with other people, it's fair to say you're not watching them all the time, correct?
No, absolutely not.
Thank you.
Any redirect?
No.
May this witness be excused and released from his subpoena?
Yes.
Sir, thank you for your time
All
today.
done.
Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
That takes us to a 90-minute mark, folks. So I think it's a good point to take our afternoon break, and we'll see you back here just before 3 o'clock.
All rise for the jury.